stroke my own penis if I want to on my own stream. How dare you? It's so dark on your end. What time is it for you?
It is 9 p.m. for me, so
9
not like
p.m.?
crazy late.
Oh, it's
It's
9
9
p.m.?
p.m., but I'm in Colorado, so it gets pretty dark out here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
around
in
this time of year.
I'm in Alberta, so it's already pitch black outside, and the polar
Mhm.
bears are roaming around.
As they do, eating ice cubes.
I have to fend them off with my hockey stick.
Damn right.
How dare they?
While
Alberta
smoking a
there,
dart out
buddy.
back.
Oh fuck yeah, bud. Just gonna be whipping my curling rocks back and forth as hard as I fucking can. Well, hello everyone. Who are friend? How do you pronounce your character's name, or what do you want to go
It
by?
is Rot's Mijnwerker.
Mijnwerker. Okay, I was going like Mijnwerker. I'm like, okay.
I did it for years, and then someone told me it was Dutch. I was like, oh no.
Oh, perfect. Well, welcome in. For people who don't know, who are friends of Rots, my name's Shad Squatch. I'm a C5 dweller. I do shit out of Amazon all the time, and this is my second year of doing CSM interviews. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not super important, but Rots is. Rots, can you tell the audience a little bit more about yourself?
I'm the leader of Out of the Blue, and we're a member of the Imperium. And we hang out and do things. Love to do small mid-gang stuff. Also FC Big Fleets. I've been playing for like 20 years. And this will be the third run for CSM. And platforms about community. That's the platform. There it is in a nutshell.
Sweet. Cool. Are you trying to reach out more for like new bro retention? Are you just trying to cater more to just like already people who are a part of the game? Is there an area that you're trying to focus primarily on this year, or is this like what are you hoping to achieve this year?
If I had the choice to pick what CCP does, I would do a lot of things. But I'm also one of those guys that knows, you don't always get to pick. I think the most important for me is if I'm trying to get new player retention, it is new and old players and people who have left the game. I think there's some stuff that is very well known, has scared some people off, so I would add them to that group as well. But I have a pretty broad platform about things I want to do. Most of it, however, contributes community building. So I think if a new player wants to come in and community build, it should be easier, more intuitive, and the roles shouldn't look crazy. So like one of my big things is, hey, Corp and Alliance tabs should be updated, the UI. But then like that goes down to missioning. I was talking with Frozen Fallout yesterday on his stream, and same deal. I think the stories can be told better too. I think the content can be a little bit better as a new player coming in. So a little bit of everything.
Cool. So going on to like the whole like update alliance and corporation tabs, what are the biggest gripes that you're having with it right now? Is it something that's like completely preventing people from really accessing that area of the game, or what's something that you would like to make it a little bit more intuitive for the average derpy derp F1 monkey?
You are the only one who's asked me what I would do, and I appreciate you for that. I've been waiting this whole time for 2 years. Okay, if you open up your social tab and you go to Corp and you look at that window versus any window they've done in the last year and a half, it is a stark hellscape difference. And then when you go to try to make a Corp and you're like, hey, I want to standardize roles, or I want granular control. You do have granular control, but you don't know what that granular control is. So you might open up a role and you have no idea what they do. There's no tooltips, there's no hover overs, and if there is something that pops up as a hover, there's a dog flapping his ears in the back. If there is a little tooltip, it's not really, it's like war bill. Like it doesn't, it's like, yeah, I'm hovering over war thing, but what are you talking about? It's just not been brought up into the new UI. So if they're like bringing things into this cleaner, sleeker, one-stop shop look like the opportunities tab, to try and keep players entertained and involved in building communities, it would behoove them to do that to the actual control of their corporation. And it's really, really just honestly snail's pace compared to everything else. It's just really dirty looking still.
Yeah.
But then it's like also ACLs, the social tab, where the corporation tab is at, and like fleet channels, all of that. Could you imagine if everything that was like a social related thing was in one window? Like you just go to one window, it's there. It's not a tab in social. You just pick it up, it's right there. And then when you click over to Corp, you have all of your roles there, and maybe you can build your own roles. You know, like titles is what everyone says is like titles let you do that. Doesn't totally let you do that. And then even what titles can do versus what it can't do versus like giving someone straight director is not well known unless you go through and you start testing it. Not to mention color coding roles. Like, you know, we're still in the era of people using text code to get colors to go for titles. What if you could just color code them on a color bar? Like I could go off about this, but those are just like some easy things for me. I'm like, just make it look better, make it easier for people to access, make it easy for anyone who wants to lead a corp to lead a corp.
I was actually just going to pull it up. I like one thing that I've done in the last year and a bit. I've started my own C5 Corp. I'm just gonna pull it up on stream really quick to just really look at what you were talking about, because I'm very much into just making this a little bit easier, a little bit more intuitive for people to actually start making groups and organizations. Because one thing that I'm learning is that in order for me to do like those very grandiose things in the game, you need people. You can't evict somebody from a C5 wormhole by yourself. You need to get yourself a group of dudes together to be able to do things, right? So I'm just gonna pull this up on stream really quick, and you're going to point me through. You're going to point me at all the things that are just god awful ugly. 1 second.
And let me pull up stream. Hang on.
Yeah,
I'm so ready.
Specific window. Pro streamer. Am I right? Ah, I did it. Okay, sick. All right, let's make sure we can see the talent. Then I will. Yeah, sorry everybody. It's potato mode. I was multi-boxing earlier today. Okay, cool. So we go to social contacts, kind of booty cheeks.
You're already proved my point. It's hard to get to.
Yeah.
Be just a corp tab right there.
Yeah, corp tab. Let's just pull this up right away. So here's my corp. All this shit. I think it's like this. So what were the things that you're hoping to change with this?
Okay, so let's go to like some of the things that have been touched recently. So like projects, freelance jobs, those are new. Let's go to actual role management. I think it's probably member management.
Member list.
You know what? Hang on. Let me log in. Let me follow along that way.
I'm sure
there's a little bit of a lag. 1 sec.
My directors are probably really pissed off at me that I'm willing to show this shit, but I also don't care.
Oh no, it's easy. Okay, so you're gonna transfer all your shares to Rots. Hang on.
How do I make shares?
How do you make shares? Exactly. Sorry, I'm bringing it up. One moment.
No, it's all good. We're doing this very ad hocly, you know, pro CSM content creator.
I'm so glad you asked, because no one does. It's just never been asked. They're like, oh, okay, you want to fix that tab. Because, you know, most people, they ignore it. They're just like, okay, that guy wants to do that. That's super cool.
Well, again, it's just like making things more accessible. Like a couple of the other CSM members, they're talking about just making the game a little bit more accessible and bringing things up to par. And it's really nice to actually like, it does matter. Like, it's not like hey, we're going to make carriers good again. Like that would be like a really big change, but it's something that would actually matter in a small but important way for the average player who can't afford dreads or capitals or carriers or whatever. It's just making the game, like the UI, more accessible from the get-go.
Okay, so now I'm here. So you're on the corporation tab. So if you go to let's start at administration rather. Sorry, so go all the way to the administration tab.
Done.
Administering corps. Like this window has been prettied up a little bit, but not really. Like there's no There's no visual interest, and it's just a bunch of data, which you might say is fine. When I go to like role management specifically, this is where it starts to get a little bit dicey for me.
Oh God.
And the thing that gets dicey is I don't like half-ass tooltips. Like if you're going to give a tooltip, it better mean that. So if you hover over, it looks like a graph here, but let's say accountant, it says can view use corporation accountancy info. But unless you set that role and you start to look at this tune and see what roles they actually have when given, once you give someone that role, you can start clicking through station service, accounting, access, and you can actually see what they can get to. None of that says that in a straight way. You have to know that you need to go click these roles and go look. And so the first thing I usually do when making a corp, I put another tune in the corp so I could use that as a guinea pig. That's the first thing I do. It should be easier than that. But let's do it in the reverse, right? Let's say we don't want to use the vanilla roles because like some of them give a lot of power.
Yeah.
So by power, I mean like accountant can access every account. There's one accountant in all of my Alliance Vapor, and his name's Crimson 11, and that man knows money better than me. He's the only one I trust with it. But then director does about the same thing. In fact, it gives it more. So we barely use director and accountant roles. But then there are some roles that you need to have in order to accept corporations to an alliance, or it's the things you don't know. So like you need to be a director to accept corporations to an alliance, and you need to be in the holding corp. Like that's not said anywhere. Like you need to try it out.
Yeah, like look at this UI. Yeah, it just says can do anything like a CEO. That means nothing to me.
Yeah, it means nothing to me. So thank you for asking, because like this is a big one. Then truly the fact you have to scroll all the way down is a little bit nuts to me. I would love to be able to, at the top of this window, like right now you can click director and you can see who your directors are in the corp. Yeah. But I'd love to be able to organize those names a lot easier. You can only imagine for like massive corporations how that starts to look. Then they have this find member and role system. So you execute queries and you add criteria. And honestly, this should just be the roles or any titles you've made on click boxes. This should not be open add criteria and then start to go through a bunch of drop downs and see who has, very specific accesses. It's not intuitive. And I think that is hard for newer players if you're like trying to make a community. If you're old like me, you know how this works. But even the other day, I pissed off everyone by deleting roles and redoing them because I probably do this at least once or twice a year. It is one of my biggest gripes.
Yeah, no, like I'm the CEO of this corp and I didn't even know about this shit. This is crazy.
And it's kind of lame. That's all it is. The other one is I wish I could go to title management and show you mine, but like title management for me is when I hit title management and administration, it gives you all of these basic kind of tooltip roles. So in the title management window, you can't hover over and get any tooltips on what they do. So it's different than the other window immediately in that you can't go to the top of them and go, oh, that communications officer does this. It literally just says communications officer.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, CCP. And then when you look at mine, which I can't show you, but it's like I have a subdirector written out, but I also have the color codes. So I have B caret color caret number FFFFF, and that's just to give me the color on subdirectors. So that whole row is actually filled up with color code. Why can't that just be a selector?
Yeah, why do I need to know HTML in order to be able to make my stuff
And here's fancy? The thing, the ability to select color has been in the game as long as you could make these shitty logos. It's been there. So it's like I've been dealing with this for, I don't know, 15 years now, something like that. I'm like, I'm over it. I'm just over it. Can you fix it? I think I'm the only candidate that currently says, can you fix this window? Because it should be way easier. But then it's also, there's the final thing. This is probably my other pet peeve, is people don't know how to take their corporation and join an alliance. unless that alliance leader tells them and knows how to do it. It's like getting onboarded at some like, I don't know, testing company like Quest Diagnostics or something. They're like, okay, well, you got to put this buffer in this thing, and that's how that works. And like, you wouldn't know that walking in. You have to go to rankings, find the alliance, app to it, and people are like, what's the rankings tab? Like, it's the weirdest thing. Like, just why can't you right click an alliance and apply corporation? Like,
where is the rankings tab? Like, I actually don't
good
know.
question. Okay, so if you go to alliances,
this is now an Eve tutorial thing,
and it's not rankings anymore. Actually, look at me. I just got completely switched up here. You go to God, it's wild. You go to alliances. You go to all alliances, and it says it might take up to 15 minutes to load all of these. And by the way, you have to hit show all to actually see them all. This is going to base it off of, I believe, people who actually hold SOV. I think is what this is based off of.
I didn't realize
so
CCP owns SOV.
Right? They own SOV in the Polaris area where the tournaments and things are at. Yeah.
Yep.
It's cheesy. You find if you can't find them here, you gotta hit show all and have fun on that one when it loads.
Hey, Crash.
For me, it loads pretty decent. So then you got to scroll through, and if you're like me, the is the first thing you see for like ever. So everyone has the Church of Celosia, the Clown Car, the Commonwealth. Like, it's just a bunch of alliances that are the. And now you're trying to find the alliance right here, and there's no search tab in here. There's no search bar.
Guys,
you just have to find it.
I found the G spot. We did it, boys. Wrap it up.
There it is. It's ridiculous. And this tab on its own is probably one of the worst things ever. And I've been in a lot of alliances, and every time I have to find this, it's like, 3 years later, I'm like, this is annoying. This is really annoying. I forget it every time because honestly, I want to blank it out. It's horrible.
See, somebody's asking, can I go into the A's? I don't know if I want. I don't know if I want to bring this back up. You know what? I'm not gonna bring this back up. We're past this now. We're past this. I'm done. I'm done looking at that shit. That's so goddamn ugly.
It is. So then, do you want to hear my fourth one? Because I can take you on a tour.
Oh my god!
So
please.
You go to Alliance Contacts while you're in here. Just to be clear, you could do Corporation Contacts, and you can do Alliance Contacts. So you can switch between these, and you can be like, oh. They're the same window. This window has been this way with these colors and the tab labeling system. It looks very eerily similar to the Eve Mail box where you send emails. Like it's super, super same. Like the UI is not updated. And for you to set a standing on someone, you add a contact and you just pick a color now. In the old days, you used to be able to actually assign a percentage. So you could go like 4.9% as opposed to 5% of blue. And then in the old days, you could say they can't use my jumperage if they're under level 5 blue. So 4.9 would leave people not able to use your station services, or that's how it used to be controlled before ACLs in the old days. This is like you have no control. It's just they're light blue or they're not blue. And it's pretty archaic. I mean, I don't even know if you can drag and drop an alliance in here. Let me double check.
Yeah, I'm not special. I don't have that the alliance stuff, but I'm just going to nod my head.
You can in fact drag and drop your alliance, your corp in here. I'm so proud of them for that. You can do that. This is still old. It looks the same as it used to years and years and years ago. This is something I would love for them to change. But then the other part of this is flip side. When you're a big, okay, actually, I know they've brought this up. So like Rote Capel, they're a small alliance that like I have friends in, and I find them to be like kind of the coolest in terms of smaller and mid-sized fights. Like I learn a lot from them. They had something where they usually do a shout out in a channel. They're like, oh, hey, random people who run for CSM, here's the thing that sucks. I know that this window causes problems for them. So it's like you can do character contacts in a corporation tab. at their level and how old they are, once you load it with a million more tunes, it starts to lag, and then the labels start to get like disappear and not work function correctly. So the data that goes in here isn't always accurate, depending on how much querying it's having to do on the back end, and that is a problem. Like, why use the window at large level? So you see it at alliance and corporation levels, and if they have anything more than like a million tunes on there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Rogue Capel does every single Sino tune, that kind of thing. It's a huge thing.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Anyway, there's my things. That's what I hate about the entire corporation window.
I'm glad we actually set a little bit of time aside just to even look at it, because when I was looking at like, okay, how do we make this intuitive, when people think about intuitive, that can mean a whole bunch of different things, but it's really nice to have you like walk us through it and be like, oh my god, this is worse than fucking cream cheese on a brick.
It's true. Like, you'll find a lot of the things on my platform of I've run into them personally, and I've got ADHD. I don't got time for this, and it pissed me off. So I'm kind of the old man on the front yard yelling at people about it.
um Another thing you're talking about is also like alliance tournaments marketing and growth. What you don't feel like CCP is doing enough in order to make the alliance tournament like a bigger thing than it is?
Yeah. So I would love something in game every week that is a trigger about when matches start. Like, as a person who used to love it, and I've been in the AT before, I remember the old days. It felt a lot more marketed, a lot more front facing, and then also pretty fresh. I think the Alliance tournament as a whole is pretty standard now. I'd love to see different brackets, different, maybe not weight classes, but different formats in the tournament. So maybe it's not just one particular bracket tournament. Maybe it is 3-on-3s. Maybe it is solo play. But I'd love to see something that CCP actually does. And there's some members of the CSM now who are there that say very similar things. It's like, hey, can this be marketed better? And how do I get involved? Like, it's not as intuitive to everyone who isn't on the socials or anything else like that. And to be something that's game driven, to not have so much in game available to get engaged is a
Yeah.
little weird. I think you can add more to. You can do events around it. I think it's the Alliance tournament. It should be a bigger deal. Most people just go about their business nowadays.
Would you like to see like it be like a like sort of like the Crimson Harvest, where there's like a like a rewards track or something like that's tied to it to sort of
I
bring
would be
more
down
awareness
for
to it?
that. I actually don't know if they do that. Like Capsuleer Day, they do that. And like, New Year's, like, why not? Like, I don't
Yeah,
think they do at all. I mean, it's a good point.
yeah, it's literally the biggest events of the year. Like that's like sort of like a driven thing outside of, like the holiday events. This is something that should be driven to the fucking stars. Like we should,
Mm-hmm.
it's like the Jita screens should be having the Alliance tournament being blasted through through everything. Like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, no, it should be pushed out a lot more. It should be literally shoved down people's throats.
It kind of should. I mean, I have to assume they invest some amount of money into it. And I don't know, the business model, but I think the business model could do with a lot more upsizing of it, in the sense of it should be something that they're proud of. Like, it's a long term game. It's an esport if you want it to be, and they should let it be that way.
Well, like watching the Alliance tournament on Twitch, they have like guest speakers, they have announcers,
Mm-hmm. They do.
they have all this stuff. Like, why not make it even bigger? I'm sure it costs a lot of money to bring these people on. I'm assuming they're volunteers. They're passionate about this stuff. I'm also wondering if they actually pay some of these guys a little bit of money to get
Mm-hmm.
them to go and be announcers, but like how much more money could it be to put out a couple more, like instead of pushing for Eve Frontier or whatever, just like, hey, we're going to be driving ads like, hey, this is the biggest tournament of the year, that will bring more eyes to Eve than just like, hey, come, we're going to shill our shitty um crypto game or whatever.
Agreed. And like honestly, I would love to see bigger formats. I would love to see 20 or 30 on 30. Um, I think you get a lot of alliances that would go and throw down for that, because for them it's what a lot of people do. It's almost locked in for the higher profile player with a lot of old money. We'll say it that way. And the people who have the AT ships in the past probably are able to get the AT ships easier in the future.
Yeah.
You could go down that road. I don't much agree with it. You put the effort you want. If you want to win, you put the money in. You do the thing. They did put some nice guidelines and rules attached to it over the years that change. I remember when there was it was pretty loose way back when. There was like years where PL won like 4 times in a row or something. And then you get some really cool big names out of it too. There's a lot to be said there.
Would this be more than just like bringing back just proving grounds, or would you just want there just to be a little bit more variety in just how they run the AT tournament?
I think my answer is yes. I think
Yeah.
it's everything. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's yes. And like Tuskers is one of my favorite groups. They are really just freaking cool. I saw someone in the comments. They're really cool. But like you know those groups because of what they do in the AT. And if you don't know them, it means you don't watch the AT. And that's just how it is. Hydra Reloaded, people would be like, I have no idea who that is. I don't watch the AT. It's like, well, why not? Oh, I didn't know it happened. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like I know that like they do quite a bit of work like trying like you like that little window or whatever that's next to all your characters, like that shows like the patch notes, the MER, like the 2D map that's coming. Like they put like the AT tournament stuff there, but
Mm-hmm.
like it would be so easy for them just to put up like ads in Jita, or like, hey, here's a mail, like an Eve mail or whatever. People like, especially the new guys, they're probably always checking that shit for like different things, like, or like, hey, here's a video that'll play when you log into Eve for the first time, like the week
Mm-hmm.
the week of the Alliance tournament, just be like, hey, this is happening. Like it definitely could put in a little bit more showmanship.
And that's where I would leave that one. And then you did mention like proving grounds or like the test server. That's attached to it in the sense of I grew up in a time in Eve where you could test almost any mechanic before it came out. Or you could test current mechanics. And this one's a hot topic. I'm a big fan of it. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I want people to go and look at the patch notes and find out in action," because it leads to varied gameplay. And like, I agree with that, but I think at some point the mirror. So like, if you're mirroring what's current, maybe a month after something's come out, there should be a current mirror on a test server that you can access.
Yeah. Like talking to CCP about the test server, there was a big we had a big chit chat about just like a like can we just open up the test servers again? And the conversation they gave us was just people were just solving stuff too quickly and they weren't putting any risk on the line. I understand from their perspective like why they would reduce like the amount of accessibility for the average person to get into the AT tournament, or sorry, not the AT tournaments, into the test servers. Because again, like when you are testing out your Gila your for T6s, it sucks to lose it, but like you're putting that risk in to like test and like do different stuff with it. But I also see the allure of like, hey, like I don't want to risk my $100 Gila or whatever that I'm gonna be put into Abyssals. I wish there was like some sort of way, some sort of happy medium so that we can test new things for CCP. Because again, they only have their small Q and A team. It would be really nice to have a way so that we're not solving things right away, but we can also go looking for bugs and fixes and quality of life stuff that they may not have enough manpower to do themselves.
Agreed. And like, it doesn't need to be open all the time. Maybe pick a test server day. Make it every Wednesday. I I don't know, hump day
Yeah.
test server day. I don't fucking know. But
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, give it a day where you could do that. So, people are like, "Oh, this is something I wanted to test," but I'm not sitting there the entire day doing it. And then someone did mention test server for like Alliance tournament mode. That's Thunderdome. So they do have a separate server for it that they'll open up for it called Thunderdome. And sometimes you'll see that pop up. that you can hop into. And I actually would say I see that a little bit more than I see the normal test server.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I like in the meeting, like basically it was like people were complaining that like, hey, I want to be able to record this really sick ass video for like a YouTube video, and I can't ask my friends to undock a Titan and then blow it up. And basically they were just like, yeah, like we have the Thunderdome available for like the AT stuff, but if we start catching people like doing shady stuff, like running abyssals or whatever on the Thunderdome server, then those people start getting into trouble because again, that's not the whole purpose of it.
I totally get that. Like that totally makes sense. I mean, there's downsides to it. So like find a middle ground, but not having it, I think is something that ultimately hurts the game. In a sense, I think you have players who do enjoy testing things, but I think that's human condition. Um, and so for the best way for them to do that is maybe on a test server.
Yeah.
I think don't yuck someone's yum, especially if it's someone who wants to be prepared. Eve is about preparedness. So if someone decides not to use the test server and then people are saying, oh, well, you know, they did this thing and like they knew it better than us. Well, you had the same agency to go do that too.
100%.
Like that's how I feel about it.
Hey, cool. I'm just gonna read Twitch chat really quick. To test expensive fits or mechanics, I didn't understand. However, the solving part is done anyways, just a bit delayed now. Yeah. I had a person when I first started streaming. She would always reach out to me like, "Hey, Shad, you should come in. Like, we're going to do Titan Brawl on the CC server." I'm like, uh, like people are just like dropping Titans for fun on the CC server when you should be doing that on like the regular server. But yeah, no, yeah, I'm sort of in the camp of like I want people to risk stuff to be able to learn stuff, but I also understand that it's a huge investment, especially with how ISK prices are going nowadays. 100%. Cool. Um, Projection. Let's talk about projection. That's something that's been on a lot of
You
people's
said the
minds.
P word.
Oh
Oh
my
no.
goodness. Project me, daddy.
Well, how
Um,
do you feel about projection? That's my first question. How do you feel? I'm turning it on you.
Thank you for asking me questions. Nobody ever asks me questions
Yeah,
anymore.
you're welcome.
I'm a nobody. I'm literally a nobody.
I'm in
Fucking
danger.
little daddy streamer
You have
guy.
feelings.
I
You
have
have
feelings. You are
feelings.
right, but I have wormhole feelings, and in wormholes we don't have to worry too much about projection. Besides just like hole sizes. If they fucked around
Yeah.
with hole sizes, then yeah, I would just have to start
Oh, it would
worrying
get
about
bad. It
projection.
would get. They should never ever do that. Never.
Oh, I'm even a little bit mad about the UI update for wormhole stuff.
Ooh.
It makes it too easy for people to know just like how EOL a hole is. I want it to be
Mm-hmm.
harder. I want things to be harder for wormhole people, not easier. Um, how I feel about projections. So I used to live in nullsec for maybe the first month and a half of me playing Eve, and then I got kicked out of Goonswarm because I didn't know how to authenticate all my characters.
That'll happen.
Yep. And then I never went back. But lately, me and my C5 group, we've been starting to get into a few more dread brawls in and around Abzon. And it's like a lot of the stuff that's been happening like low sec I've been finding it's just like we'll start like at big events or we'll start big fights and we're expecting it just to be a bunch of low sec guys and like we escalate our capitals or whatever and then suddenly boom there's 30 Zerns on grid, there's a whole bunch of RNIs, there's a whole subcap fleets, and we're just saying they're just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my god. Everything just went tits up. Like the last fights in Abzon that went over the Dawn's Lights
Yep.
Asherhouse or whatever. Like we expected it to go up to a certain point, but then it suddenly turned into a quarter trillion esque dread brawl. That we were prepared to it to escalate a little bit, but then it just went way past that. So we ourselves we held back, but everyone else is slam dunked.
It's okay. So for you have experienced it. So the problem with me for projection is not. I don't want to limit large groups of people and the people who are in those large groups of people from doing their day to day. My problem is those RNIs, right? Is how many RNIs are going through jump bridges in quick succession and getting to a fight that you made out in your region uh, in under 5 minutes or something. So like I'll give you, and actually you were there, you were in Goons. So I'll give you an example. Like I am in SeaTac-J right now. I can get to the border of Delve, and just to be clear, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 regions in 13 jumps. I like jump a minute. So in 13 minutes, you started a clock. You know, if someone's not bubbled, where someone is now in your fight in Aquarius. That is pretty quick to me. I think maybe there's a mass limit that could happen on jump bridges. Maybe, you know, that 200 people, not all 200 can go in immediately. You know, there's a little bit of a lag time. Add a little bit of a stopgap, some space, so that, you know, my friend here in his low sec Amazon moment can hang out with his few buddies for just a moment and give that a whirl. I think it's really important that be looked at. I think dreads and carriers and their fatigue is pretty balanced. I think there is diminishing returns on jumping and how fatigue works right now that I really wouldn't touch it. If you go any more, I think you actually probably limit fights. Right now, I think you're in a really good spot where you see people moving their caps into an area. There's an inherent, they could be here in X amount of time, but it's not like PL in the old days where they were jumping across the galaxy to some cap fight in under 5 minutes. If anyone remembers pre-fatigue, just Sino up, jumping, cap up, Sino up, jumping, cap up. You could get that down quick. You could really be good at that. We aren't in that game anymore. I think that's pretty balanced. But it is really jump bridges are probably the projection issue for me. Because RNI is like, that's pretty much a block level doctrine. So who showed up to your fight in Amazon?
Let me pull up the Val reports. I think I can find really quick.
Because like you pull them up and you'll be like, okay, who are the people that I feel are projecting the most? And the people who are projecting the most normally are in this like circular thing around low sec, and it's called the whole rest of the galaxy and 0-0. Those are the people that I think have the ability to project better than most. Whereas in low sec, a lot of it is jump drive driven, or you live close to the content. And so I think that's why you're seeing a lot of people are based right now in low sec in like Molden Heath, Imatar, Derelict area. They're in that war zone because it's quick and accessible for fights. They don't have, you know, they might have ship casters, but they don't have like jump bridges. So you'll see on some of these bigger fights, it's going to be like block level peeps. And like years, let's see what we got.
Yeah, there's Frats, Pandemic Horde, and
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Boom. Like your top 2 there, 3 there, 4 there are like blocks, you know.
Yeah.
Like that's an issue.
We were for sure expecting like Shadow Cartel, Dawn's Lights, like those guys and people are hooligans, but I think we weren't expecting Fraternity to show up as hard as they did. And as you can see, 193 people or 193 ships. Yeah, it's a little much for, you know, tiny little abs on Prime over on the far right. So
but it's true. So you look at the average low sec group size there, and we're saying maybe sub 60 players, 60 tunes. And then here's 193 and 134 from Init and Fraternity. I mean, it's huge. Most groups there were under 60 tunes. I think that's what makes low sec cool. Is those style fights. I don't think you need the blocks in them. I think their projection is a little outweighed there.
Yeah. Let's say they don't want to limit the amount of people that can go through an aspects. Like if there's like a mass size and then the aspects is like on cooldown. Is there like another like?
I could go like, okay, so let's say they don't want to do mass. Let's say they want to do jump bridges. You can't have a jump bridge in the system right next door. Maybe it's 2 systems away. I'm just throwing, you know, shit at a wall. Maybe it's jump bridges cannot terminate on a gate next to low sec.
Oh,
you know, maybe that's too close. Maybe
Yeah.
jump bridges have just shorter range. Maybe that's what it is. Shorter range means more cost. Doesn't inherently stop them from adding more jump bridges, but it does raise the cost of it. You know, you've got more super ionic ice they got to use to fuel them, more LO. You got to put in the jump bridges. I mean, that adds up. That's time. I don't believe in tedium, but maybe you can do that. Or maybe it's standings based, and I've gotten crap for that before. Is maybe the alliance who drops the bridge has to own the other side of the bridge, and they are the only ones who can use it. Maybe that helps. In that case, though, and like fraternity and initiative, you're still going to see those people show up, but you won't see NC Dot. Maybe you won't see Solaris Chitonium. I'm trying to think what other people are on that list. Any of their pet alliances wouldn't just use the same bridges they used. So that's another way of doing it.
So I'm just responding. Ragnar said, "Wasn't the Amazon fight advertised? I swear, E-Union posted something about it for people to come." Yeah, yeah. Like I reached out to Yuri, and Yuri and Amazon Prime now have like a bit of like a a relationship. So now Amazon Prime will reach out to Eve Union, be like, "Hey, do you guys want to come and like help us with something for like we need the numbers and the new bros needs to die a little bit." So yeah, that's it was a little bit advertised. I also reached out to a bunch of FCs letting them know like, hey, if you want to come and help. But yeah, so I think maybe OPSEC might be a bit of a problem with that fight, but it still turned out to be pretty fun. Cool. One thing another CSM member suggested for like Anasplexes is just the further away you are from your soft capital, like then you get more fatigue before you could jump back the other way. I think that might also be like a interesting mechanic that they could do. Well, going back to like you getting into shits from like only alliances who control both sides of the Ansplex. Why were they giving you so much shit?
Oh, it wasn't even just specifically that. A lot of people, like I'm in a block, so like my platform is not inherently loved. A lot of people are like, oh, that would affect my gameplay if done incorrectly. And like, I agree with them. Like the everyday miner going through the jump bridges. I'm looking at you, Ponton. All the people who go through jump bridges is one of my alliance members who does that. And just doing their normal day to day to get to a different system with upgrades, that should not be affected. In fact, I think that's more targets in space going gate to gate. I think that's great. So they think, like larger blocks will say, oh, this could inherently limit our gameplay as people and who we are. And you can't, as someone actually recently told me this, you can't really limit the human condition. Like people will always gang up and group up to find solutions and maximize things. That's what we do. And that's true. And so you shouldn't use game mechanics to limit human condition. You should use game mechanics to allow human condition for people to make errors, and therefore that limits projection. And how you do that is it could be a litany of different things, but I think you take it one step at a time, and you don't just knee jerk into something. You don't just completely add a crap ton of fatigue onto it. I don't think that's the solution. I think a lot of CSM candidates who are smart and have played in the game for a long time know that small changes make a lot of impact, and maybe a series of small changes do a number of great things. But the normal block member would not love my platform, and that's kind of the gist of it.
Yeah. Like going to like the whole like small changes make big changes and like they make like a ripple effect. And I can't remember what expansion was, but they made it so that you need a dread in order to be able to get like the good drifter escalations and high class wormholes. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like pulling my hair like, oh my god, I'm gonna lose so many dreads now. But it's made it a lot more fun. Like now there's a little bit more of a whale hunting experience in higher class wormholes because now people are risking more stuff in order to get those better payouts, which has been like actually pretty fun.
Yeah,
And
that's like not to interrupt you. That's actually exactly what I believe in an EVE is more risk, more reward, more possibility of dying or winning. I think that is the secret sauce. That is it.
yeah. Alliance sovereignty mechanics. I have friends, Crash Naps. He tried doing hype train in nullsec. He took some
I helped
sov.
him a lot. I know
Helped.
him quite well.
Yeah. And now hype train isn't a thing anymore. I think they got pushed out. What are you hoping to do with helping these smaller groups to actually get a foothold into nullsec?
So, I'm going to admit to something. So, Crash and them, when they went and tried it out in Quirius, there was an unknown benefactor that helped them get set up. That was me. Because I thought the mechanics weren't going to allow them to immediately jump in and do what they want to do in the game. Um, I think that the best time in EVE Online I had was during the sea, and that was a southeastern agreement. A bunch of people signed a thing. There's a bunch of regions that were open. You could hop in and go do stuff. And for me, and my crew, we took our corp and we had probably the funnest time in EVE in forever. And that was because blocks and the leaders in those blocks said, "Hey, we are not going to get involved in stuff out here." And for the most part, they did that. Some of them didn't, uh, but for the most part, they did. And that was fun. That had to be chosen by the players of, and we're talking like 5 or 6 people in all of ETH, had to make a conscious choice to outlaw other groups and their alliances from going into those regions to mop up small gangs. That is actually a problem. I think CCP could take one from the books and say, how do I make that condition happen again? Because you saw a lot of small alliances start to happen. Crash Naps and that group in Hype Train were awesome. They were great to work with. Like, we saw them, and we were a independent mid scale alliance, and we said, whoa, these guys are cool. They happen to be in the area we're currently shooting Horde and Horde Pets and like Big Ab in them. And we should like partner up and be like friends with them. So like a lot of times we weren't even blue, but we were just like, hey, they're cool. They're getting, crapped on by these guys. We're going to help them out. I think the best way you can support small alliances is just do the work yourself. And I'm not the best candidate for smaller mid-scale groups, but I will be one if there isn't representation. Right now, there's just not a lot of independent alliance candidates, and I was for a long time. I think you need to have mechanics that allow those alliances an easier time to get set up than larger alliances. I think they should inherently have some possibility higher of defensive capability for maybe their initial constellation they take. Allow everyone a slice of the pie, not guaranteed, but easy enough to defend at your scale. And maybe there's some defensive mechanics that scale with your size that allow you to still do what you need to do at your scale and size. I think FozzieSoft does not, like in the old days, they really tried to not have small alliances be ousted from Sov easy, and that's why they changed to FozzieSoft, because you were almost assured having to drop capitals to flip a station or put more money on the line than you had as a smaller alliance. But I would argue Fozzie has aged in a way that has now been, that human condition kicks in. It's been so min-maxed that small alliances are still not able to do any of that. Now it's just we camp all the gates in the constellation and we spread the load, and now we're doing the nodes quicker than the 5 or 6 dudes that own the space. That is a problem too. That's what I'd love to see changed about SOP mechanics to help those small alliances.
Can you hold on to that? Though I just have to answer my door really quick. My dog's
Yeah, hit me.
out.
It's like, I'm going to go to the door. I'm going to go take care of whoever's at the door. My dog is there. It's going to be great. Oh, you can hear me? This is great. Okay. Oh, I know now. Oh, I know. So he's gonna come back. Like this is gonna be on like a YouTube video or something, and I'm gonna be the only dude who's been making fun of him while he was away. I do think he has a better hairdo than I do. So, but his little desk is tiny. I'll admit it's a tiny little desk. Do you think it's a tiny desk? I think it's a tiny desk. He could hug the whole thing. Like I kind of want to make him hug it. Oh, it's completely unattended. I'm just here vibing, and y'all in the chat channel chilling. He's probably getting a pizza. Like I don't have a pizza. I want a pizza. Better got Chinese. Chinese sounds good. Oh, I can hear him.
Pressure. Yeah, I'm good. My twin sister just arrived. She's going to she's going to Las Vegas tomorrow, and I want to do this as well. And she's very cool. She's here with her friends, and she'll pet my dog, make him feel better. I have a twin. I'm the pretty one. Would everyone like to see my pretty twin?
I love pretty twins.
All right, Amber, come here, please. They want to see the less pretty twin. This end.
Yo.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the 10 out of 10. She's the 9 out of 10.
And you're twins.
I'm in danger.
Yeah, I was born.
That is adorable.
I was born 1 minute before she was.
Oh, that is so sweet.
Get fucked. It's okay. She did my tattoo on the tattoos on my legs. So I can only give her a little bit of.
It's spelled wrong.
Time. Yeah. All right. I'll keep on talking about spaceships.
What?
I'm talking about spaceships. Oh. I know, it's so cool. Oh. All right, bye. Go. See ya. It is serious business, 100%.
It is very serious internet spaceship business.
Okay. Cool. We were talking about sovereignty and helping out the little guys.
No, I was theorizing that you got a pizza. So while you were gone, I was on your hold channel making fun of you. So can you hug the little mini Eve desk? I'm like so curious. Your little mini Eve desk. Like, can you hug it?
Try.
It's literally like the scale is so fun. It's my favorite thing.
I know. It's my first interview I had with Dujik. Oh no, with Young Puke 2. I like we were talking with like Amazon Prime and stuff, and I was like, oh god, I gotta get this set up because we're doing this suddenly, and then so this took me about like 5 minutes to throw together.
It's the coolest thing. And Young Puke is one of my favorite people. If there is anyone I'm running with, it's him. He's a good dude. Yeah, no, the scale's perfect. I love it.
Thank you.
It's the way it should be. It's just right.
Like I can shrink myself like a little bit further down, but then that's too much real estate around my big head, and the desk suddenly is absolutely gigantic. So
it's perfect.
I like this size. What else was I going to shit talk about?
Keep hitting it. I'm ready. I'm here for you.
Okay, so going back to like helping the little dudes out. So like me, I'm not connected to any wormhole blue donuts groups right now. My main character is actually Wingspan, and that's what most people know me from, is flying with Wingspan. And I have a lot of people who they see me crabbing inside my C5 and like, wait, Wingspan's in here? Well, we're gonna fucking evict this guy. It hasn't happened yet, knock on wood. But I'm always worried about just like the big guy coming in and kicking over my sandcastle. What sort of ways are you thinking about helping to make sure that the big null blocks aren't going to come and kick over somebody else's sandcastle, because it's literally a sino jump away most of the time to bring in your titans or your capitals or whatever else.
I think at the end of the day, there's some stuff you can't avoid, right? Like there's if the wormhole big blue donut wants to come after your name recognition alliance to come shoot you, they might do that. However, I think it is a multifaceted solution. So like all of the fixing how easy it is and more accessible to make communities with the corp tabs and that kind of stuff adds into, you know, projection mechanics that help to slow it down, that add into, you know, making it more fun to be in a smaller group, maybe tedious to be in a larger group at such a level. But then also, I think at the end of the day, you can't just say anyone who's a small group can just be a nullsec and they've got a free card. Risk is important, but I think at longer ranges and distances, it should be harder for, you know, say I'll say goons in this instance. We should not be able to quickly project to veil or to delve in such a way that we can be there in 5 to 10 minutes. Most sov timers, if the defender is actively using their space, let's say a small group is using their space, and they're able to wrap up those nodes quick, they're done in that time, you know, if a fight goes off. I think those are the things that actually help a smaller group.
Yeah, it's like you're able to organize a little bit more quickly with your ragtag group of nerds, and then it takes for the big blocks 30, 40 minutes to rage paint like, hey, somebody's taking our shit.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And then there's another thing to be said about like, you know, there's also small groups. You were talking about wormhole space, you know, and then I'm saying, hey, there's people in SOV space. So there's people in NPC, LowSec. I think keep stars and forts everywhere in LowSec and NPC space is pretty pervasive. It's a problem. I think anyone can get their supers onto a safe structure anywhere in EVE right now. And I don't think that was maybe the original intent. But that's how it is. And so if you could be touched anywhere, really. Like it doesn't matter where in EVE you go hide now. I think you're actually in the best situation. Wormhole's a great place for smaller groups right now.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of no squares anymore in EVE, unfortunately. Yeah, like one person in chat did talk about like it should be more beneficial for an alliance to grow tall than it is to grow wide.
It's like Civ 5 mechanics or something.
Yeah,
like I've heard this before. Yeah,
I'm not sure how CCP could implement that where it wouldn't just piss off all the null blocks, but I like losing sovereignty is going to make people mad. But if they can put in some really good incentives to these null blocks to sort of shrink their own space, but give them some sort of way to just like, hey, this is way better. You should be doing this instead of this other thing. I think we can actually see some of the larger blocks sort of shrink in on themselves, and then we can have like the little guys filling those empty spaces.
Yeah, maybe it's I mean, if you want to build taller, you know, and not wider, you need to incorporate pairing mechanics. So like systems next to it that are upgraded similarly have some way that they interact that enhances the bonuses. Easiest, like if anyone here plays No Man's Sky, when you're making your like multi-tool loadout or something and you group all of your mining lasers together, they start to boost each other. Maybe that's how systems work. If upgraded next to each other similarly, you know, you've now used a tighter packing of space to optimize it to do what you want to do. So a lot of people would be like, oh, goons are just, you know, stretching out to stretch out. No, I think goons are stretching out because they feel they need to at their size. I bet all of those people would very happily sit within a region or two if they knew they could upgrade it to an extent that would allow them to support 70k tunes, right? But right now, there's nothing that doesn't promote expansion. So like we've got Metnoxes, we've got moon drills, moons, and things that you can get to easily. That is probably the main ISK generator, other than maybe ratting taxes. And given certain specific parameters, there's not a lot of things stopping you from wanting to grow wider because that's where you get the money from. So independent systems need to have a way to become more lucrative. So that maybe, you know, there you can then limit is, okay, after a certain distance from your capital, it's no longer lucrative to have this system. or to do the work for it. It's more of a pain. But now you've built up, so like you can still support your main player base, but your main home systems are maximized to do what you want. Like there's stuff like that that I could see working with that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like, what's the thing where it increases your payouts? I can't.
Bounty risk
Yeah,
modifier.
bounty risk modifier. So the further
Mm-hmm.
you are away from your capital, the bounty risk modifier like decreases exponentially at the further and further you get out. So maybe that's
Yeah, so
something.
maybe the further out you are, it completely hinders your want to go in ADM systems. Like you're just there killing rats for nothing. I mean, it sounds terrible, but truly, maybe that's what's needed.
Yeah.
Things like that limit sprawl. That's a big thing. And I did some interviews recently that talked about sprawl being the problem. Everyone is sprawling. One of the most sprawly groups, but it's because of geography, is Pandemic Horde. Like the drone regions are so densely packed, it's very easy for them to project in their home space. Frat's now the most solved alliance in EVE Online. They have stretched and stretched and stretched, but like you go through a lot of that space, it's unused. You don't see a lot of players in those spaces. You see maybe one or two Ishtars. I think that's an issue.
Yeah.
I would love to see space that they can do all of what they want to do, which is why they're sprawling so wide within, maybe a smaller area so that other alliances can do what they want to do. I bet a whole bunch of entities that are in lowsec, a lot of them I knew used to be in nullsec or dabbled with it. They would do it if it meant something to them, like, and it was something they could do relatively easy.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Yeah, I like my group, my wormhole group. We talked a little bit about it. A lot of people were just like, it's just too much. It's just way too much. I think it would be a great way just to make nullsec a little bit more exciting because I do a lot of MPSI fleets and woohoo, I've caught 3-ish stars tonight with my MPSI group.
Mm-hmm.
It would be nice to sort of make it a little bit more populated with different groups again.
That, and I am just tired of Ishtars online.
Fuck,
Like, give
tell
me
me
some
about
other
it.
ratting ships, truly.
Speaking of Ishtars Online, I want capitals out in space. How are you going to make that happen?
Well, you got to make them cheaper. That's the first part. You got to make them cheaper. People aren't going to drop them because they're not cheaper. I think T1 dreads, I think those changes are really good. I think insurance was huge. I think you're seeing a lot more T1 dreads right now because the cost of entry into that level of gameplay is a lot easier. I would make them cheaper. That's the first step. I would also make it to where right now you've got a lot of people who don't want to jump into large cap fights because of tie-dye. And I think you need to find a way to let groups do micro engagements that allow capital escalation easier, so that it isn't always big tie-dye fights where you find it. Like a lot of people are like, oh, why don't you see Titans and Supers die in big fights? Well, no one wants to sit there. We're all old now. No one wants to sit in a fight for 24 hours from downtime to downtime. I don't know how to put it any other way. That's it. Like, that's why you don't see them die. And that's why you didn't like MT or M2. That was so rare. I was in BTAC-R. Like I lost a Titan there. M2 was an accident. They didn't want to go throw down, like it was an accident. A lot of great fights in EVE have happened because of an accident, not because the game mechanics worked in everyone's favor. They were like, yeah, let's go throw down. I think most alliances that say, oh, we have more supers on paper than them would still say, I don't want to go do the fight because it's a toss up. How the lag's going to go, is someone's dog going to go rip the neighbor's arm off next door and they have to leave the computer for 5 hours. Like it's just, it's too slow. So you need a bunch of interactions that allow smaller groups to go, and it can be larger groups, but maybe those SIGs in those groups to just go throw dreads at things. And they need to be cheaper.
Yeah.
Truly.
How would you go about making capitals cheaper? Like, because I'm gone into Zern production randomly. I'm making Zerns right now, and like it's pretty expensive. Like including the cost of the BPC, like just looking at it, It's costing me about 4.8 bill.
Yeah, 4.85 somewhere in there.
Yeah,
I would just lower the baseline materials on the blueprints. That's what I would do now. I think everything else about your chain works. I think what they've done to change economy, if you go dabble in that too much, is just a waste of your time. I think you just lower the overall base mineral requirements on them.
yeah.
Or you extend those insurance changes to all faction dreads in such a way that they could see that payback. Right now they didn't give that to the Zern because they're saying the Zern is a little bit OP. I agree with them.
Oh yeah,
The Zern can be.
Yeah.
But I do think you just need to make them cheaper, and I think it's just the initial material requirements of the BPs. I think everything else works.
One thing that I've talked about with some groups about like just making dreads cheaper is it's just going to turn into just the null blocks just having a crap ton more dreads just to throw around. Is that something that you're worried about if we just make dreads too cheap, or is that something that might be good for the game?
It's a problem now. Like any change we make right now doesn't change the fact that they have proliferated more dreads than you. And that's just something you got to get used to. But that hasn't stopped me. Like I don't have a huge dread cache like maybe Horde does. I think Horde's sitting on a couple thousand dreads probably. They used to do like one time a year they'd say everyone log in every single tune and they just hand everyone a dread.
Jesus.
Like that's how many dreads they had. Like that's happened before.
Crazy.
People have done that. So let's say recently, what is something that Out of the Blue did? We had a fight in 92 box. This was probably, I don't know. I say recently. This was someone was laughing at me. I thought this was a month ago. No, it was 6 months ago. But we had a fight in 92 box in Great Wildlands where we fought NC, and we dropped 60 to 70 dreads. They dropped something similar, and we threw down. That is a very rare fight condition for a lot of groups, unless you're in low sec. And I think low sec is able to do it because there's inherently a little bit of a projection buffer in that low sec, depending on where they are. Like if they're close to frat, they're going to see frat come in. Yeah. But I think truly those fights are the best ones for caps, and a proliferation's never going to change. So right now you just need to make it cheaper for smaller groups to keep doing that, because time behind the wheel is still time behind the wheel.
Looking at some of the other stuff, like how are you feeling with the most recent updates? How CCP went about with changing like the meta or ship balancing? Do you think that they're going the right direction, or do you think they're going too far?
You're talking about the recent ones with like armor changes?
Yeah.
I like armor. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, you go ahead.
I like armor boats being quicker. I agree with that. I don't think armor boats should be so quick that shield ships are inherently just worthless, because like one thing about armor that people forget is like shield is king because of damage, but armor is pretty much king when it at a certain level it could be king because of E-War. We don't see E-War as much in the game right now. You see it in smaller gang warfare. You see like whole blocks take their whole Tengu fleet and make it a jamming fleet, but you don't see Maelstrom blobs putting E-War on their ships. It's just not how it works, right? But you do see that with sacrileges. You see that with like Abaddons or Macarials, or like I can see E-War being used in certain situations now with armor doctrines that are maybe okay. I think we haven't seen the meta actually land in such a way that I think anyone knows what to do yet. We saw a lot of people with APOC Navy issues, and then we've also recently saw in it using APOC Navies and dying to some Blap dreads in the last week, in like long range dreads. I think they've maybe made the Zealot a lot more viable again, and I think that it's the only hack right now that's viable. I think most other hacks are not viable. I think Munins die pretty quick still. Zealots are pretty darn good. It hasn't changed. I still see Rokes. I still see Maelstroms. I now just see APOC Navy issues, and I see Ravens. They've nerfed railguns to a way that you're just back to Raven meta, and we've done that before. I'd love to see some of the battleships, if they're going to lean on this battleship situation where they, right now it's pretty easy to get in a T1 battleship, lose it, and then get the insurance. They should buff some other battleships. I would love to see some changes. That and like they did some things to like the Proteus and a couple other things that I'm like, inherently because of the rig changes and like speed, it didn't quite do enough to me to make it feel as though armor T3 cruisers could be a thing still. It didn't quite hit all the bases for me. Battleships are just so cheap now at the T1 level that I think you're just not going to see a change with other things popping out. It's nice to see Ferox not as good, but it's still a spam of maybe vultures. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still seeing a lot of vultures ripping around, and goddamn, they're so fucking tanky.
Yeah, they really. I'm one of those people that adamantly believes, I'm going to really make some people angry in this chat. I don't think command ship should be a mainline doctrine ship. I don't. I think command ship should be specifically a boosting ship, kind of like how a monitor is specifically an FC ship. A command ship shouldn't be like heavily guns. I would be down for fleet assistance mechanics. That's what I think command ships should be. And so a bunch of people hopping into command ships now and just like throwing these huge resists at problems is kind of lame. And then in mass, they're really oppressive. And I think that's hard for small groups. Like smaller alliances just really can't compete without doing their own. And then it's back to your traditional M+1, or you got to get in a battleship doctrine and go throw down. So like the counter to command ships right now is just a bunch of battleships that do the business, and there's specific ones that counter specific things, like Maelstrom's counter Feroxes and Vultures. So I don't know. It's still same linear progression. It's the same ship names.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be nice if there was a little bit more, I don't know, rock, paper, scissors to things,
Mhm.
instead of just everyone just flying the same ship. Yeah, I haven't seen too many Ravens out on my NPSI roams, but again, I'm not doing like the null block fights. But if you're starting
it's
to
like
see,
Ravens Online right now.
that sucks. Like I guess like from my limited FC experience, like maybe them we're going to start seeing some more firewall or firebombing ships on grid as well to help counter that. But yeah, I don't know. I like that they're wanting to do a little bit more changes, do a little bit more risky stuff. Do you think that they should, like, what would you suggest to CCP in order to make these block fights or just fights in general just not so predictable?
That's a good question. I mean, I would start with carrier changes. I would go there. I think it's desperately needed. I think carriers right now should get a lock range debuff. And there's another guy who agrees with this, Sven Bauer, who I absolutely recommend you interview. He's a great dude. I think he's over in Horde. Oh, you did? He's a great dude. Yeah. Love that guy. His was the lock changes. Mine was, I want fighters to apply marginally better, not as good as they were when they nerfed the crud out of carriers. I think they need to give it a little bit of application. What the targeting range does is it makes it so that they're not sitting on Citadel Skynetting. If you don't know what Skynetting is, you would assign your fighters or get them out. You get sat up on a Citadel and you can tether whenever you want. You just de-lock and tether. I think that's a problem. So you're nerfing the lock range. Now it works better. And then application, just because I think they should kill subcaps, not oppressively, but I think they should kill subcaps. And then, oh, there's carriers on grid. Now I'm dropping dreads. Like, the carrier is an integral part of maybe branching out how escalation chain works. Right now, escalation chain usually starts with the fax. Oh, there are faxes on grids. I need to drop dreads. It's kind of the same dealio every fleet. Then I would really look at some of the other battleship hulls. I think they've changed armor ships in a way that are speedier. I think that's great. I think you now need to, there's a few ships out there that just need to be looked at. I think Armageddon's with the drone changes kind of blow right now. I think all kinds of Armageddons actually. I think the Abaddon's really cool, except for it doesn't have any range to it. I think they did this moment in a few patches where they were like, oh, we're going to do short range brawly stuff. And now you've got a lot of stuff that, like, on paper, short range brawl looks great, but everything that kites wins. So, how do we narrow that gap in such a way that allows gameplay that is interesting for different FCs to do different things with different ships to find solutions to problems? My last one is I put it on my my campaign thing. I've already been called out for it. I think heavy assault cruisers got really nailed to a cross. I think they could receive a minor tweak to let them be more present. I think heavy assault cruisers should be meant to be a quick, agile way to get around. More skirmishy, less set piece fight, unless you want to put a lot of them on grid. I think that is something I'd love to see with those. But then I'm also in agreement with some people that Surgical Strike, they just rolled it back. And I was a big proponent for it. But the reason Surgical Strike was ever implemented is because, in theory, it was supposed to bring down the level base so that T1 doctrines like caracals and things were more viable when fighting versus things that were T2, and how they affected Logi and that kind of thing. And I think all T1 hulls, except for battleships and capitals, should receive some kind of bump in their overall tanking ability, just so that gap's not as wide. Then I would actually bet you would see a lot of people do a lot of different things and have a lot of different experiences with T1 cruisers and things. I think you would see a lot of fun in that.
So yeah, especially like going from going for new bros, and it's like you can't expect a new bro to join your alliance or just join your corp and just be like, hey, here's a doctrine you have to get. This is what you need to do this right now, and it's like
and it's imposing.
It is, yeah. Like to put up your skill queue, and it's like I have to wait 3 months before I can start joining fleets with you guys. Like, is there something a little bit easier for me to go fly and giving them like, hey, here's a caracal that's almost as viable as the fleet doctrine. You're not going to be a detriment to the rest of the fleet as long as you have this bare minimum skill points would be really, really handy. So like upping the T1 stuff would be really nice, like across the
like look at the tank between, like, here's some great ones. If you're like someone who's like, hey, I want to check this out, it's the difference between a Bellicose and a Hugin in tank, or a Scythe and a Simi in tank, or a Caracal and a Cerberus. That's probably 3 really great ones to look at. Then go check out like a Punisher versus a Retribution, and you'll see the difference is the ADC. There is no reason to be in that Punisher if you can wait a week later and just be in the Retribution. And that kind of blows. Like, I think the ADC is great. I think their base level tanking ability is so much more than a Punisher. I think you're tanking like 40k versus like 4k. It's really stark. Like, go look at those holes and go, oh, I see why I'm not seeing MOAs out anymore. And that was Surgical Strike. Like, before that, you saw Init roaming in MOAs every day. There's people all in caracals, although they nerfed the range on some missile boats. Caracals didn't suffer. You'll see a lot of those hulls just aren't used. And the people who do use hulls in that class are N+1, and they're using like Agora Navy issues, because guess what? They have like a hit points bonus. They're going for the tankier stuff because that gap is so wide.
Cool. No, that's a very, very good explanation. Yeah, no. Speaking of like new player stuff, I see here in your forums post you have something about the NPE. What are you hoping to change about the NPE?
You mentioned K-Shaw the other day.
Yeah.
And I remember in an interview last year, she asked me, she's like, well, when's the last time you did the NPE? And I was like, well, maybe it was 6 months ago, 8 months ago. She's like, okay. And I felt the judgment I felt it because I don't roll tunes all the time. I didn't back then. I wasn't a really big multi-boxer. Now I'm getting used to it. So I rolled some tunes and I did them. This is now 3 weeks ago. I did the MP, and I run into the same thing I always do with the MP, and it is that it just gets monotonous and boring after a while. I think the baseline experience, that first maybe 24 hours of play, can be rich-ish in stuff. I think if you're going to try and hook someone, though, you need to give them a week of gameplay. You need to give them something they keep coming back to. And I was on an interview recently where I talked about, I think missions need an overhaul. It's been the same missions, the same stories for years. I want richer storytelling. I love stories in Eve. I tell my own with my community. Why can't we do that in missions? I love the idea of new players having a direct connection to be able to hop into low sec, hop into null sec, and have experiences that are rewarding, risky, yet not game breaking. I think the old Eve, there's that meme where it was like a cliff and a bunch of stick figures dying. That was the Eve I played. And that was because that was the thing back then. People loved really difficult things. That is not what I think the player base is now. I think a lot of people we hit a point in the MP where they're just like, this is tough. Like, I don't want to play. How do I get as many skill points as that guy? I saw a Titan on this ad. How do I get into that? What, 3 years? It's that kind of thing is, I think, tough for a new player to take on. And how do you blunt that hit, that people experience? Eventually they get to a point where they feel absolutely meaningless in collective community gameplay. And how do you give them gameplay in a community that maybe is the same as them doing stuff? How do you get newer players grouping together on their own in high sec or low sec to do things? Is there it's not a junior league I'm asking for. I'm just asking for scales and progression on how missioning, content, and interactions in faction warfare, all of that play. And that all just takes time and catering. Like, think about the new player from day one and how they can engage in the gameplay without others initially, because making friends is hard. Like, if people don't know, it is. So that's a factor of Eve. So you need to allow that to happen. You need to have a social aspect to it, which I think they can do more work on. And then also, I think they should do events around the MP. Like, they should be doing specifically new player events that are about new players. And when they're here, hey, the game company's out in, this, I don't know, this hub for new players, and do that way more often. And then I think you're going to captivate people to stay here.
Yeah, like I did a IRL Eve meetup, and there was one guy who showed up and he's like, I've been playing the game for 6 months. And I'm like, what got you into playing the game? And he's like the big battles, the big fights, just people going out and doing really cool things, and he wants to be part of it too. And it's like, I think, like you said, creating these new player events where they get to experience a little bit of that in sort of like a safe-ish environments would be a really cool way of getting people to want to stick around and do stuff. Do we need to have people stick around for like, I don't know, like do something every week for these new guys? Probably not, but making things that where they do feel connected with the community. Because I brag to people, like, when I did my Twitch front page a couple months ago, people are like, what's the cool thing about Eve? I'm like, it's literally the best social MMORPG out there, bar none. Like, you cannot do the cool stuff that you can do.
Agreed.
In Eve, like in World of Warcraft, that you can do in Eve, but people need to be able to have the tools and the accessibility and all that other stuff in order to be able to experience and really get to know what's the magic sauce of Eve.
I agree with that completely.
I was talking to Kashal about like maybe there has to be like groups or different ways for people to get together, like going through like the fleet window. Like you were talking shit about the corporation window. Like, the fleet window has to be changed around so that we can
100%.
Yeah, get those people to go click on that, like, hey, this is how you meet our friends. Because I know in World of Warcraft we have fucking find a group or find a group thing. You click a button, then you're just teleport into an instance. I don't think we need that in Eve, but I think we need a way so that trusted individuals can help guide people or like do cool things together in high sec or low sec or whatever in order to make people want to stick around. Cool.
I agree with that.
How would you make missions better? Because I did the Sister of Eden mission arc once and I hated it. How would you make doing like quest chains in Eve better?
Okay, so my pet peeve with it is I can only drop off so many materials to the same agent before I get bored, right? Like, there's some of them that are just really mind numbing. There's no, I think they can be riskier. I think rewards can be, like right now, you complete a mission, you get the same reward. There's no win conditions. I think missions could have win conditions. So I didn't do as good at this mission. I didn't get the maximum amount of that reward. But also, the storytelling's just bland. And some people will tell you, hey, I've done this chain of missions, and then it sometimes feels like it just repeats. Grinding standing sucks. For being a mechanic that is required other than going and turning in tags, grinding your standings while doing epic arcs and missions that are just monotonous is just, it feels like hell. It feels like I am paying to suffer. I think they should hire some storytellers. I think they should get some people involved and overhaul it. And you probably need to do it once. But there's a lot of games that do it easy, procedurally generated missions. Like again, I'll bring up like No Man's Sky, but there are a lot of other companies right now that are doing missioning and storytelling better, and it doesn't cost that much. This might be one of those places where I think, oh God, I'm going to say it, like AI is okay, right? I like, you don't need to be, you're not giving me your art, you're giving me a story. Like, if that is your problem right now, is that you can't hire the storyteller, cool. Find a way to make it work. However, I do think that the storytelling is bland. So anything they do there helps. But I also believe the going to the same agents and those agents seemingly don't have any connection to each other. Like, you're not in a, I don't know, one of my favorite shows in all the world is The Expanse. You know, you go through seasons where storytelling has happened. But normally, they keep you within a region. I'd love to have missions that propel players to different parts of Eve for different reasons. And I mean, much different parts of Eve. Right now, there's nothing that tells anyone about specific like mission chains and how to do them unless they go into opportunities and maybe it's an epic arc, or they go find a third party tool. And I think that's a problem. I think there's no inherent discoveries or fun anymore. There should be secrets, there should be Easter eggs, and there should be interesting things in interesting parts of space. A great example of where they've like dropped the ball. So if you go to like your in-game map, like I'm on it right now, and you go to like, let's say Amencia, right? And you right click the name Amencia and you hit show info. They have this huge description. Sometimes back in the days, they had someone who was telling stories. They were telling about how it was discovered, specific races, expeditions, yada yada. Outside of that descriptor, there is no discussion about how the civilizations discovered regions. There's no callback to this, right? It's a bunch of disjointed story blips. So then there's some of it where you're left frustrated. You're like, okay, well, that could have been a cool storyline. I'll give you my one that I remember all the time. When I was a new bro, I right-clicked on Detorid. I went to show info, and Detorid was apparently this region that had this very weird phenomenon like space storms. And these scientists found a thing, and the Angel Cartel was involved, and there was like something storms in the fabric of space. And I went out to Detour when I was a new bro looking for these, and I never found them. So now I have a description saying that there's something in this region that doesn't exist. And
Oh my God.
for me, that was my cool, I'm going to go explore a thing, and I never found it. These are the things that I think they could pick up on and actually make fun again. There was a time where you could be like, hey, CCP, what are like some unknown things that players haven't discovered yet? And it was like, it was a big number. They're like, oh, they're like 20 or 2,000 or 20,000 landmarks in EVE Online, or secret things or cool things to discover. And there was still one that hadn't been discovered yet. But like, I never knew that there were 20,000 of those. Like, I had no clue. You know, there used to be fun in that. The game hasn't aged in such a way that I think right now this content is enriching. I would love to see missions completely overhauled. The rewards, how they do it, and all of that. But also, when I was on Federation Frontline, I would love to have it really branch into faction warfare and how the shops in faction warfare work and how they go turn in things, how LP works, all of that could be altered in such a way that makes it a lot more intuitive, fun, and engaging for players. Because right now, the reason to go to nullsec is you have bounties in nullsec. You can just go rat and you get money. Well, what if you can just right click, turn in your LP for some ISK? It's the same thing, just more steps. That's monotonous. Take the tedium out of storytelling and engaging in stories. I think people should enjoy that. There's a lot of people in high sec who love missioning. Give them something to love on. It helps everyone.
Yeah. I don't know if Duke Shasta is still in Twitch chat right now, but he showed me a Discord or whatever that was all about like Eve lore, and people were like role playing and stuff. I want that stuff in the game. I want people to be going and looking for these secrets, and I want like the missions to take you to the different places in the game. Like one of my favorite like Eve lore things or like Easter egg things that I've found the one day was that there's a car wash. There's a spaceship car wash that you can go to and like role play
I know
washing
it.
your car. Like I didn't know that. I had to go look that up. It would be really funny and really cool if there's like a one-off mission where you have to go and like wash your car or go take this ship, go wash it and then bring it back. That would be so endearing and just so fun.
It would be.
We need more of that stuff, and I think like Eve is set up in a way that we could really embrace the silliness and also the mystery of Eve, because it's an entire galaxy that there should be all this secret shit that we can go figure out and find out for ourselves. And missions can be a great way of like for new players and old players that like to go and explore all of New Eden.
Yep, and I'm a big fan of, like, I haven't actually heard anyone say this, but like I used to play a game called it was Pirates of the Burning Sea. A lot of my dudes know I used to play this. What you could do is when you rolled a faction, you could become a governor of your town, or you could take a position up. Right now, you join an NPC faction, you can't take a position in that faction. You can't be elevated by the game for doing things. You can't become, you know, space admiral or commandant of Arhant or something. You can't do any of that. So like for me, faction warfare is just faction warfare and the mechanics around generating PvP and the war zone. But what if that's your alliance? What if you engage in the Empire and you go up in role in the Empire and you get certain things for doing the missions and being a part of your faction that is not just I went and did the sites and I went and, you know, participated in the actual faction warfare mechanics outside? What if there's more granular, you know, socialization to it? That could be fun. Like those are all things I would love to see them really work on. Truly,
That's sweet, cool.
that, and they used to have like they had a storyteller. Was it Siegel, CCP Siegel? It might have been her. That did a bunch of these huge story missions and was a really great storyteller. And then there was a time like they had the Empress, was someone died and the Empress was doing something in Amar, and then a bunch of people showed up and there were like huge events around it. And, you know, like the Triglavian stuff was cool, but, you know, then it kind of like petered out, and then there was nothing backing it. Like it needs to be pretty continual. You know, and that takes time, it takes effort, and it takes, frankly, it takes labor. So like I get it.
Yeah, for those sort of in-game RP events to occur, you do need people to actually go and take on those characters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I could see that being more difficult. Like I remember, didn't they do not that long ago? Like they would like, oh, here's the shipments of stuff leaving this station. I have to go blow it up
Hmm.
or protect it. It's been months and months since anything like that's happened.
Agreed. Yeah, and then there
Yeah,
was that like random convoy that you could find in like wormhole space or something or drifter space.
yeah,
It was weird.
yeah. No, yeah, we need to bring those back too for sure. Cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, the whole deathless convoy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cool. I think we're going to start wrapping this up. I have to start getting ready for the next guy. Is there
You've
is
had me for an hour and a half. We went over our time.
no, this is awesome. No, I'm very happy that we went way over our time. This was very
Hmm.
fun. Is there anything you'd like to tell, or I guess before we wrap it up, do people have questions for Rots before I let him wrap it up and he goes and does whatever?
Whatever I do in Eve Online.
I don't know, FC, go blow up shit. Fuck, I don't know. Wash your car. This was the best one
Wash my
so
car. I
far.
love on my. Aw, that's sweet. There's a lot of really great candidates though. Don't let me be the best. There's some really good people. There truly is. I'm very excited about. Like I think record breaking amount of CSM people this year, and like I'm excited. I want to get it on it. But like at the end of the day, it's cool to see people engaged. It means people trust CCP right now. So, but thank you for that.
Yeah. Have you interacted with the CSM very much prior to the like
While
this?
not being on,
Yeah.
like yeah, so like Dujak, Young Puke and I talk an awful lot. Sadow's a great person. Like when I reached out to Sadow, I said here's my thing. He's like great, I'll take him up. I think actually Skashal again, she's the person who would say is your job's not done whether you're on it or not. Like if you care about being involved and seeing good change and representation for the community, reach out to your CSM members. And right now, CCP's listening to them, so please reach out to them because like that's the only reason I run is I feel like there's a way forward. I played for 20 years. The last 3 so far have been the only time I've run because I felt like they're listening. So please engage with them.
Sweet. Cool. Cool. Let's wrap it up. What are the 3 big things you want changed if you do get elected to CCM this year?
Metnoxes. I would love Metnoxes to be looked at so that the lowest ores are not mined off of those Metnoxes. Therefore, you won't tank the whole market on R8s, R16s, and R4s. I would love for the projection mechanics to be looked at, like legitimately. And then truly, please fix the corporation, alliance, and social tabs. Bring them into the UI, make it better. Thank you.
Great. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on tonight, Rots. I really do appreciate you, my dude.
Mhm.
If you ever want to do stuff in game, send me a DM and I would love to go and die alongside with you. And yeah.
I will hit you up. You are always welcome.
Sweet. Awesome. All right. Have a good night, bud.
Cool. You too. Take it easy.
Oh my god, that was what a lovely individual. Oh my goodness. This is really cool. Yeah. I hope I'm doing a good job. I don't know. This is my second year of doing like CSM interviews and I had to make a Google Calendar of everything that of everybody who I've had to interview. And this year I'm interviewing 11 people, which is kind of crazy. Aw, right. Like, oh my goodness, Rots, such a wonderful character. Oh my goodness, and he lives in the same time zone as me. We could be best friends. We could literally be best friends. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was awesome. Cool. Yeah. I'm glad we talked about like the UI stuff and obviously he's very passionate about it. It's some of the things that I'm learning from just doing these CSM interviews is just like, hey, like the game's ugly. We have to make it more pretty, make it a little bit more accessible to different people. So it's very wholesome to like see how excited Rots got when he when I was like, hey, what would you actually do to change? He's like, oh boy, let me tell you. Oh, that was great. Yeah, we could be bunk buds. I know Crash also lives in Colorado or somewhere, so we can go and touch. We could do a trifle tower or something. I don't know. Cool. What did I like about Rots? I liked that he's obviously very knowledgeable about like ships and like the meta right now. Obviously he's very knowledgeable FC and he's very passionate about like doing PvP, which is really cool. Um, I really like that he wants to be engaged with the community and he wants to make things a little bit easier for everyone. Like again, like when we're thinking about like just like looking at UI, like UI isn't just that corporation window. It's everything. Like making it the game less monotonous to just figure shit out will help keep people around. One of my biggest gripes with CCP right now is that whenever they get a Eve, like some sort of big streamer to go and it's like, hey, this is a sponsored stream, I want to stream Eve. It takes them about 30 minutes to figure out how to undock or shoot a ship or do whatever. They need to make the game a little bit easier to navigate, and making things prettier and easier to click is going to be super handy. And I think Rots, even though he did mention a lot about like the corporation window, he does sound like somebody who's going to be willing to talk to the other CSM members and get that push forward really, really hard. Yeah, the average Eve player is getting really old. But when I lived in Null, he scanned our lines pretty badly in favor of Big App. Oh, yeah. Well, hopefully he doesn't do shit like that. If he does get onto the CSM, cool. We do have coming up. We have Captain Nico coming on in about 15 minutes. I'm going to reach out to him and just shoot him a little DM like, hey buddy, when would you like to come and hang out? And see if we can go and do a little chit chat a little bit earlier so I can go to bed because I have to drive my twin sister to the airport at like 5 in the morning. So no, I'm hot. She's not hot. Cool. He, not her. No,